I'm autistic and I attract very unsafe people. This message has never been pointed out to me as it has been in the last 12 months of my life. I have had conversations with people, interactions, friendships with people that friends of mine have often questioned. Why? Is that the best idea for her? As an autistic person, my natural go-to reaction is to give people the benefit of the doubt. Believe and trust in the words, the intentions, the actions, the behaviors of people, and believe that what they're saying to me is their truth, because that's how I think. What I'm saying to you is my truth. My brain interprets that very literally. Because of this, there's kind of this inbuilt naivety to life and allowing people into my space. And I perhaps hand over the trust where trust should never have been handed over. I am completely unsafe in the world because of this naivety, and it's something that I just felt called to talk about today. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Elena and I was age 25 when I was diagnosed with autism, and so you can imagine I went through all of my childhood without any answers. I was always the kid at school who kind of brought in anyone that I saw being bullied, and while I think that is a really great thing and I really love that about myself, I also think that it put me in positions where I just had a whole bunch of victims around me, and maybe that wasn't always the safest thing for me and perhaps even my mental health. People have always likened me to their personal therapist. If I was their friend, I was very much someone who would sit there and listen and try and give them the same kind of emotion, the same kind of empathy that I would have so loved for someone to have given me. So because of this, I was the support for so many different people in my life. And I know that this isn't a strictly personal experience. I do know that for so many of us autistic females, we are quote unquote people's life coaches, our friends, personal therapists. The first instance that comes to mind when I think about attracting unsafe people is a situation that I was in with an ex-boyfriend of mine. We had just left a party as the bar was shutting down, and we decided to wait and get a taxi and go out into town to continue on our night. While we were waiting for this taxi, this guy pulls up, hops out of a taxi, pretty much stumbles out of the taxi, falls onto the ground, and is trying to get into the bar that we have just left, but obviously they're closing, and so he kind of just stumbles onto the road. I immediately think to go out there and grab him and help him, and I end up doing that and bring him back, and him and my ex-boyfriend were kind of talking, and I certainly didn't pick up anything from this. To me, it was just drunk chat, but my thinking at the time was that this guy was going to be really, really unsafe if he was left here because no one was around. We were the only ones kind of on the street, and he was already walking onto the road. My thinking was for him to hop in the taxi with us and go to town, and that way there would be more taxis, more people to kind of help him get a ride home, that kind of thing. What I didn't realize and what I didn't pick up at the time was there was a little bit of kind of drunk testosterone happening between him and my ex-boyfriend, and didn't pick that up. When I said to my ex-boyfriend, like, he needs to come in the car with us, my ex was like, no way, he can figure out his own way. And I kind of just thought, wow, you're being like really cold to this person who needs our help. He was able to see what I couldn't see. The short of that story was the guy ends up coming in the taxi with us. We get into town, and then all of a sudden the guy sees red and ends up punching my ex in the face. I then intervene, get right up in his face to get him off my ex. Luckily he wasn't so drunk that he didn't put his hands on me, but it was like the first kind of instance in my life where I've had to be physical with somebody, with a stranger. I obviously felt terrible because my ex got hit in the face because of a decision that I made, and I was just trying to look out for the guy, and I should never have done that. He put himself in that position. He took the drugs. He got blackout drunk, whatever it was. And it just is so aggravating that I try and see the best and look out for people. The problem is about this is that I struggle to understand that this is a vulnerability of mine, because I am quite often the first to pick up patterns and toxic behavior of people where neurotypicals might miss. I can sniff out a mile away really judgmental, mean people, so it really surprises me when situations like that go so wrong and it's down to me missing cues. It seems to be with these kind of people, I am completely blind to their intentions. It's almost as though these people are actually drawn to autistic people, and most of the time for a lot of us, these people become our partners or our best friends or some really integral part of our life. I have nearly joined cults before because I am so aware and understanding to victims. Truly, the life stories I could share of just the pure chaos that I get myself into through believing people's bullshit. I am somebody who is incredibly picky with who I choose as partners, so thankfully I've only had one really terrible ex-boyfriend who was exactly, you know, the wolf in a sheep's clothing. However, my sore point is completely the friendships that I attract. I think kind of how it starts is they appear to be really sad, hurting people, and this is an emotion that I completely and utterly relate to. Because I was not diagnosed until I was 25, I don't want anybody to feel that kind of confusion, that kind of heartache and low self-esteem. And so if there is anything that I can give to anybody, it's an ear to listen. And people take advantage of this. There was somebody who I used to work with, and from the first meeting, from what I know now, he had a crush on me. He was really interested in pursuing things with me. My perspective of that first meeting was so vastly different because I was just wanting a friend. I was in this new job, I was in this new city, and I think that this is possibly something that a lot of autistic people can relate to, is we are so used to feeling ostracized in the world that when somebody talks to us with genuine happiness and an intent to want to hang out, it can feel so nice that we miss the red flags. This guy was kind of training me in the job, and he was so nice and so friendly compared to the boss who was training me the day before, so I obviously appeared that much more vibrant and happy because I was suddenly feeling safe with this person. We took our break together. He saw my 1996 Fender Stratocaster tattoo and he recognized it immediately, which was hugely exciting to me, but nothing more than just, oh my gosh, this person knows what my tattoo is of. He asked me more about my tattoos, which, because somebody is asking me a question and taking interest in me, I tend to overshare because it's not too often that this kind of happens to me. He obviously took these signs as, look how much we're bonding immediately from the get-go, and I was just like, yay, I've got a friend and someone that I can feel safe with when I come into this new job. Very different things. As time went on, we continued this type of honesty, sharing details about our lives. I'm an open book. I don't know how to lie, and if somebody asks me a question about my life, most of the time I'm going to give it to you because I just can't see that you asking me that question is going to lead to a bad intention. I understand this now, but I'm talking back then, I had no idea. The short of this story is this guy ended up leaving the job, but he continued to come in to the place I worked every single week to come and see me. He ended up being banned from the premises because he developed my go-to reaction is not to kind of make this a bigger deal than it is, but he perhaps developed kind of an obsession, believing that him and I were meant to be together because I was sharing things about my life to him that he thought I never shared with anybody. And I guess our experiences of what our interaction, what our friendship was just interpreted in very different ways. He's probably greatly confused by the situation. That's really unfortunate. I never told him explicitly that I liked him, and I guess it just is still a little bit confusing to me as well. Again, this is not just a me experience, this is very much the autism experience. I think that we let our guards down, we allow them into our lives for many different reasons, but most of the time it's because we're in need of a friend, and also they appear to be hurting and need help, and no one can understand pain and sadness more than someone with autism. I truly believe that. We make space for them in our lives, and we listen, we hear their stories and their pain. And I guess a lot of neurotypicals don't do this. A lot of neurotypicals are fucking terrible listeners, and the whole time that the other person is talking, all they're thinking about is what they are going to say back. And for me, I'm genuinely interested in hearing people's stories because it gives me a chance to not have to talk, and it gives me a chance to kind of learn about life a little bit more. It's definitely a part of my mask, my ability to listen, because I know that people's favorite topic to talk about is themselves, and I know that if they feel that they can talk about themselves with me, then it's pretty much a straight clear 100% they're going to like me. What I have come to realize now, their presentation of this victim is manipulation. I think it slowly builds, you know, it starts off really small, sharing of your life, sharing of different situations that they've been in, and then slowly the emergencies kind of escalate, and it kind of feels nice that they come to you before anybody else when they say, like, I haven't told anyone this but you, and they rely on you being their number one go-to. We almost don't question it, because for a lot of us, we've not been in a situation where we can question people and choose and decide who we want as friends, because friends and connections have been so far and few between. So inch by inch, the boundaries blur even further, and they start to consume more of our time, more of our energy, more of our thinking space. They almost start to be reliant on our input for their happiness. And this is exactly what I'm trying to talk about today. There's no kind of advice as such that I feel at a point to give right now, because it's only dawned on me in the last year that this is very much my place in life right now. I guess it just never dawned on me that there are bad people out there, and they don't often look like the stereotypical bad person in our minds. Sometimes they can be presented in the form of a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a friend, fuck, even a workmate. Because they don't often present how we think they do, our minds are able to kind of make excuses and say, oh, they just need help right now. It's not always going to be like this. They're not always going to need my help. Boundaries blur, man. Like, boundaries fucking blur. The point of me making this video today is to basically make you aware that if you are autistic, diagnosed or undiagnosed, it is most likely that you are going to be predisposed to really, really fucked up people, and you may not even realize it. And I just want you to be aware that if you feel exhausted after leaving someone's company, if you feel that you are just listening and listening to their shit all the time and you're not able to give anything, these are really big red flags of you being taken advantage of. Unsafe people don't always have to look like the stereotypical unsafe person. They don't have to be doing huge crazy things like beating you up or violently abusing you verbally. It can be slow and subtle. I just don't want anybody to kind of experience that, I guess. I'm sure that there are a lot of you who can relate to what I'm talking about today, and if you guys are looking for more neurodivergent content, I will leave a link to my social medias down below. Please just stay safe out there and be aware that not everyone has your back. I think the biggest giveaway sign is how you feel in your body after saying goodbye to them. Is your body really tight from holding everything in? Are you really relaxed? Do you feel like you can go and sleep for the next week? You know, really pay attention to these cues, because if you are feeling really physically stressed, emotionally stressed, mentally stressed from leaving their company, they're probably not the best person for you to be around. And that's as far as I've gotten in terms of my own awareness to unsafe people. But thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.